I made like 100 today, but was hungry and looking real bummy today. You was bony and looking too funny today. I don't care, niggas still make Cheeze. Let's go.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Chattin with Cheeze podcast. I'm your host, Fat Cheeze, and y'all already know the motto: no gimmicks, only the real. First and foremost, before we get started, I want to wish everybody a happy new year. This is the first official episode that's going to drop in the year 2025. I hope you guys brought your New Year's in a great way. I wish everybody nothing but success in this new year. I appreciate everybody who been, locking in with me and, just giving me encouraging words, motivating me and everything of that nature in this podcast journey that I've been on so far. And in 2025, the plan is, to just take it up to a whole new level. So I just wanted to get that out the way before we start. Y'all already know what I need from y'all. Smash that subscribe button, like and share the content, and let's go ahead and get right into it. So this week after the New Year, Wednesday, everybody know was the official kickoff of Round 2. Well, Tuesday was the official kickoff of Round 2 of the college football playoff. It led into Wednesday, and it was supposed to be 3 games on Wednesday, but unfortunately, we had a terrible event happen in New Orleans that where people lost their lives, that pushed one of the games back to Thursday. So I want to give my immediate reaction to the games that we had on Tuesday and Wednesday, which was some phenomenal ones, and we just gonna go ahead and jump and focus on those games today in this episode. So the first game, we had Penn State take down Boise State 31-14, and that was a good game on Tuesday night before the ball actually dropped. Games kicked off at 7:30, and that was a good game. I like what I seen from. I picked Penn State to win the game, and my idea of the reason why I picked Penn State to win that game is because I came into it with the idea saying that if Penn State can just control Ashton Jeanty and not allow him to take over the game, I felt as though their experience and just being used to that kind of atmosphere and everything like that would lead them into winning that game. And I felt like they came in there and did exactly what I said. Their goal was, we are not going to allow Ashton Jeanty to take over this game. And I think that they did a good job of that. I think James Franklin and his staff, they came in with the perfect game plan. The offense did what they were supposed to do. They didn't have any critical turnovers or anything like that. Boise State actually, to me, played a good game. It got a little out of control there at the end. But for the most part, I felt like Boise State did enough kind of, to keep themselves in the game. On the Penn State side, quarterback Drew Aller, he went 13-25 for 171, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The main thing that I noticed from Jump Street at the beginning of the game, Boise State had no answer for Penn State's running game. Their running game completely took over this game. It got to a point I was like, I don't even understand why Penn State would even try to continue to keep throwing the ball. Katron Allen for Penn State went for 134 yards and he 0 touchdowns. But Nick Singleton, he broke off a big run at the end that kind of put the nail in the coffin for the game. He had 87 yards with a touchdown. The touchdown passes that they did complete for Penn State, you had Amari Evans, who had a pretty solid game. He went for 55 yards and caught a deep ball over the middle for a touchdown. And then you had, to me, if I had to say, probably the best tight end in the country, Tyler Warren. He had 63 yards and 2 touchdowns for Penn State. Also in that game, he became Penn State's single-season record holder for catches. But I think they had no answer for him either. In the red zone, he was just the main target that Drew Aller was looking for. You could tell the first touchdown, dropping the bucket in the back of the end zone, and then the second touchdown, it was just basically a high point. Drew Aller threw the ball up to the highest point. He went up and got it. They couldn't put a corner on him. They couldn't put a linebacker on him. And he's kind of a Swiss Army knife, so they like to line him up all over the field as far as on the offensive side. Sometimes you'll even see him in the backfield, on like some type of wildcat kind of plays and things like that. But I felt like but I still, even through all that, I felt like Penn State defense had enough to kind of keep them in the game. I'm sorry. I still felt like Boise State's defense did enough to kind of, keep them in the game for the most part. It was just until the very end where, Boise State started to turn the ball over, where you started to see, that lead expand, because it was only a matter of time before Penn State broke the game open. On Boise State side of things, Madison, the quarterback for Boise State, he went 23 of 35. He threw for 304 yards. He had 1 touchdown, and he threw 3 interceptions. I felt like he had a decent game. Despite the 3 interceptions, the first interception came at a critical part. I think he was just trying to make a play. They started to press a little bit, and he just tried to make a play. I think that first interception, to me, was the biggest hit rather than the last 2. I think the last 2 was just some little garbage time interceptions. I think the game was basically already kind of out of hand when he threw those. But he made some very clutch throws. He made some big throws in this game. That touchdown that he threw to tight end Matt Latour for 90. He had 96 yards in the touchdown. But I like that. That was a great call from the coaching staff. I think Penn State main focus coming into that game was, we are not going to allow Ashton Jeanty to beat us. And they had a blown coverage. They motioned Jeanty out of the backfield. I think all eyes went to him. And you had a blown coverage, and the tight end was wide open running downfield. They found him for the touchdown, and that cut it down to 3. Penn State went right back down the field and scored. But I felt like Boise State, they I say maybe going into the third quarter, they was able to keep the game close. If their defense was able to get a stop there, who knows how it could have went. The kicker missed the field goal early, and missed the field goal late. But like I said, I felt like Madison, even though, people going to look at those 3 interceptions, they going to say, they could say what they want. But I felt like he did enough, and he made some throws good enough for them to possibly, stay in this game and possibly sneak out a win. But that first interception that he threw was to the safety, Zakee Wheatley. He had a solid game, but he never moved the safety. You know what I'm saying? He locked in on his target, and the safety just playing midfield, ran to the corner, beat him there, and got the interception. I think that right there was the interception to me that changed the whole dynamic of the game. Going back to Ashton Jeanty, he had 30 attempts. He ran for 104 yards and had 0 touchdowns. People going to see the 104 yards, but it wasn't really a good game for Ashton Jeanty. Like I said, they locked in, and they were determined to say, we are not going to allow Ashton Jeanty to beat us or take over this game. And I see a lot of people trying to create these narratives. Oh, well, Ashton Jeanty got exposed by a real defense. No, if you actually watch the game, the defensive linemen are literally already in the backfield by the time Ashton Jeanty even has the ball. When he touches the ball, he's already getting met by defensive linemen in the backfield. You could tell from Jump Street that Boise State was outmatched. Yes, they made plays and did some things that were able to keep them in the game for the most part. But as far as their offensive line, defensive line, they were outmatched. When Ashton Jeanty really couldn't get his footing, he had a couple of decent runs. He broke off some, I think he had a 20-yard run late there in the game. But for the most part, they shut him down. But that doesn't stray me away from what I think Ashton Jeanty is. I think he'll be a generational running back once he, touches down in the NFL. And I just think in this game, he was outmatched. They were outmatched. Their offense was outmatched. And this is what happens, this right here gives people the leeway to say, well, this is why certain teams should make it. But no, nobody said anything when he did that against Oregon, or when he did what he did against Oregon, and Oregon was the number 1 team in the country. You know what I'm saying? So I just think Penn State defense has been one of the best defenses in college football all year. And you seen what they did to SMU, you know what I'm saying, even though they quarterback played awful, but they were just outmatched. I like some of the things that they did, but at the end of the day, it was no everybody, you know what I'm saying, just by if you watch that game, you could tell that, you know what I'm saying, Boise State it was nothing that they can do. Even with the running game on Penn State side, they dominated them with the running game. They couldn't stop them. Like, I literally think if Penn State went the whole game and just ran the ball the whole game, you still would get the same result. That's just what it was. But shout out to Boise State. You guys had an amazing season. I think if they can, get everything back for next year, we may see them. We may see them again in the college football playoff. We may not. I don't know. But I felt like the game didn't really start getting out of hand until late. But I mean, Penn State came in there with a game plan, and they executed. We're not gonna allow Ashton Jeanty to take over this game, and we're not gonna allow we're gonna make the quarterback beat us. We're gonna make Madison beat us, and he couldn't. For the most part, he made some clutch throws, made some good plays. But once he threw that first interception, I think from there you kind of seen where the game was headed, and they defense really they stopped Penn State's offense every once in a while, but for the most part, Penn State offense was doing what they wanted on the ground, through the air, everything. So now Penn State waits the winner between Notre Dame and Georgia later on today, and we'll see how who they match up with. And on another episode, the next episode, I'll give my predictions on what I think will happen in that game. But for now, Penn State is moving on to the next round. Next up, and to me, this was the best game of Wednesday. This game right here, man, should have had everybody at the edge of their seats, bed, or whatever. Texas Longhorns beat Arizona State University 39-31, and this was a hell of a game. At the beginning, you kind of thought when you was watching it that Texas was just going to run away was going to just dominate this game and run away with it. You had Texas came out off the break and just went downfield, did what they were supposed to do. They had a punt return. Silas Bolden 75-yard punt return touchdown. They up 14-0 early. You kind of thinking like, okay, ASU must have bit off way more than they can chew, and this probably gonna end up being a blowout. Quint Ewers threw for 20. Quint Ewers went 20 of 30 with 322 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. To me, the Texas offense, the MVP of their offense was Matthew Golden. He had a great game. I think Arizona State didn't have an answer for him. He had 149 yards with a touchdown. He made the big catch in overtime that I'm going to speak on in a little bit. Gunnar Helm went for 56 yards. He also had a touchdown late in the overtime. DeAndre Moore had 25 yards and with a touchdown. But like I said, the defense, I think at the beginning for Texas, they were dominating this game. Like I said, at the beginning, you would have thought that ASU didn't stand a chance. They didn't stand a chance just the way you had the punt return for the touchdown. They scored a touchdown. Before that, they was up 14-0. But man, after once halftime, it clicked. Man, ASU came out and they completely turned this game around. It got to a point where I'm thinking like, man, Texas just gonna blow this game out, and let me go ahead and get ready for Ohio State and Oregon. And Arizona State flipped the switch. Sam Levitt, he threw for 222 yards. He had 0 touchdowns with an interception. But man, I want to talk about Cam Scatterbo. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name right, bro. That dude, he literally put his cape on and said, "Nah, we not going like that." This dude, like I said, I watched him my first time really paying attention to him, and I'm gonna be honest with you because I didn't watch a whole lot of Arizona State this year. I knew that, they were making some noise and they were ranked and everything like that. But my first time really watching him play was the championship, was the Big 12 championship game. I watched him play, and bro, and I heard him come out and say, he's better, best running back in the country, better than Ashton Jeanty and everything. And I said, I'm gonna pay attention, bro. This guy, I'm gonna be honest with you, I wouldn't give him better than Ashton Jeanty just because of what I seen Ashton Jeanty do all year, but he had a better game this week than Ashton Jeanty though. And he was going up against the SEC defense. And I heard Shannon Sharp say something, and I'm going to go ahead and piggyback off that and 100% agree with him. sometimes certain guys, it don't matter what school they go to. It could be, you know what I'm saying, a school that nobody never heard of. Some guys just know how to play football. This dude right here, I'm not even going to put him at a position. This dude right here is a football player. Cam Scatterbo is a straight football player. This dude threw a touchdown, ran for two touchdowns, and had 8 receptions for 99 yards, bro. Real like come on, bro, like 42-yard a touchdown pass. He had 30 attempts for 143 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. He had 99 yards with no touchdowns. Bro, that route that he went, and this is when the game flipped on his head. When they lined him up at wide receiver, bro, he really hit the corner. I don't know if that was a corner or safety. He really hit him like with a move, the in and out, down the field. And mind you, he's sick. He throwing up on the sideline and everything. Run down the sideline, they put the ball on him, boom, drop in the bucket. And then he goes and scores a touchdown. Bro, he took over this game. Bro. Like I said, Sam Levitt, the quarterback, he also rushed for 60 yards. He had 0 touchdowns. Malik McClain, he had 1 reception for 42 yards and a touchdown. And his touchdown came from Cam Scatterbo, but that was a hell of a game from him. If I'm a team drafting and he's there in like the later rounds, I'm taking him, whether it's position of need or whatever, because guys like that, those are the type of guys that you want on your football team. He single-handedly almost willed Arizona State to a win to advance them to the next round in the college football playoffs. I love what I seen from bro, and I'm gonna be honest with you. This is why I say like you really gotta pay attention, because it may be guys that you don't. This is why I say I like the fact that the committee did the right thing by allowing the 12 best teams, because if they wouldn't allow, we may have not even got a chance to see a performance like that yesterday if Arizona State didn't make the playoff. A lot of people felt like they shouldn't even have been there. And yesterday they proved that they belong there. They belong there. That was a hell of a game. That was so, it was entertaining to me. That was the most entertaining game of yesterday, of Wednesday. Now this is when it got a little crazy. So with a minute and so, after Arizona State tied the game up, they went out there and got a stop. Their defense went out there and got a stop and was able to get them the ball back. A penalty pushed them back. I think couple penalties pushed them back. So with a minute and 15 left, and the score still tied, Arizona State completed a 10-yard pass to receiver Melquan Stovall at midfield on 3rd and 15. Texas DB Michael Taffy made the hit as both helmets collided. It was also reviewed for targeting, but not called. And you could visually see Arizona State head coach Kenny Dillingham was out of, man, he was out of body how upset he was. Now, when I first watched the play, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't understand how that wasn't called for targeting. If they call that targeting call, I can almost guarantee you Arizona State wins that football game. They had all the momentum. And I don't know if maybe the ref said we don't want to be the determining factor of the outcome of this game, but at the end of the day, you got to show some type of consistency when calling these games. That's clear targeting. Every rule that we've known up until this point of what targeting is, that's what it was. He launched, he led with his helmet, he led with the crown of his helmet to helmet, everything. He damn near knocked the guy out. I didn't understand it. Automatically, when I watched the play, I said, that's targeting. If they get that targeting call, and people may say, I'm going to be honest, it may have cost them the game. But when I seen that play, I automatically thought, that's targeting. And I don't know if because you had early in the game when Quint Ewers threw an interception, people thought that receiver was targeted. Arizona State player targeted the Texas receiver. So I don't know if maybe they were saying, okay, being as though we didn't give Texas that call, we not going, you know what I'm saying, penalize. But at the end of the day, you got to call it with consistency. That was targeting 100%. On the Texas safety. I don't understand. They said they didn't. I don't think they wanted to be the determining factor of the outcome, but You got to call that with some consistency, because you can't on one hand call targeting for, you know what I'm saying, some shit that's ain't half as bad as that, but then on something as vicious as that, you don't call, you say that's not targeting. I didn't understand that. But the game ended up going into overtime, and it was a doozy in overtime. Arizona State came out early and scored. Scatterboo ended up scoring in the overtime, where his lineman helped them get into the end zone. Texas came right back, and this is what I don't understand. And this right here had me a little livid, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm always on the side of the underdog. So I knew a lot of people went against, and I felt like Texas can go to the national championship, but I found myself just a little bit, now I don't know by just a little bit, rooting for Arizona State. I don't understand it, bro. Your defense stops them. They get a penalty. We get down to I believe it was a 4th and 15 in overtime. You got a chance to win the game. I don't understand for the life of me why you call a blitz on that play. I don't understand it. When I seen them lined up, I said hopefully they're faking the blitz and they're gonna drop. You send a blitz and in your corner and your safety allow the receiver that's been cooking you all game. He been cooking you all game. You has been looking for the same guy all game. The same guy. Matthew Golden. You allow him to split and get over the top. And what's the main thing that should have been preached in that huddle? Do not allow nobody to get behind the defense. They allow him to get behind the defense, and that was a hell of a throw by Ewers to get in the back. But he was basically wide open. He was wide open. I don't understand. I don't understand that defensive call. That defensive call, to me, I feel like you want to put guys at that 15 yard. You don't want. Okay, even if, let's say for instance, you allow them to get the 15 yards for the first down, you don't allow them to basically throw a wide open touchdown. They let Golden get right behind both of them. He split both of them and got right behind the defense. And for that might have been the easiest touchdown Ewers threw all year. You know what I'm saying? I didn't understand that play call. I didn't like it. And they allowed Texas to, you know what I'm saying, counter their score in overtime. And then soon as Texas get the ball back, they like I told you, Gunnar Helm, they go straight to Gunnar Helm. He made a good move, got inside. They threw it to him on the first play, catch a touchdown. And then they go for 2. They hit Golden for the 2-point conversion. And when Arizona State got the ball back, I'm going to be honest, I just kind of felt like at that point, Arizona State, it wasn't a lot they can do. And ultimately, Sam Levitt ended up throwing an interception. I don't know what he's seen on that play. The defender was right there. They tried to do some kind of trickery where I guess they thought the defender was going to fall for it. And he never fell for it. He seen the play the whole time, ended up intercepting the ball, and that was the ball game. Like I said, Texas, they played a good game. I think Ewers played a good game. Golden, they played a good game. But I felt like Arizona State really, if that helmet to helmet had been called that targeting, I believe Arizona State win that game. But regardless, Arizona State, I don't feel like you guys have nothing to hang your heads about. You went toe to toe with an SEC team. Texas has been one of the best teams in the country all year. And I mean, you guys just ultimately came up short. But Cam Scatterboo, bro, that's a football player. That's a football player. And you especially, bro, you have nothing to hang your head about. I know he was pretty sad at the end of the game, but you played a hell of a game, bro. You were out there just doing everything. You refused to allow. You was trying your hardest to, you know what I'm saying, wheel your team to a victory, and you guys ultimately just came up short. So shout out to Arizona State. Texas will play Ohio State in the next round. That's going to be a hell of a game. I can't wait to see that. And, we'll see who ends up in the national championship. Moving on, in the last game from Wednesday, I picked this game. And I'm going to be honest, I picked Ohio State to win this game. But it was a shocker to me the way Ohio State won this game. Ohio State completely dominated this game from start to finish. I mean, they came out on a mission. And when I picked Ohio State to win, my main thing was I said if Will Howard can come out there and play the exact way that he played against Tennessee, head on straight, get your receivers involved early, I think Ohio State has the offensive firepower to beat Oregon. And what did they do yesterday? He came out early. He got Jeremiah Smith involved early. Jeremiah Smith had a hell of a game. I think Jeremiah Smith solidified himself, and this is a freshman. But we might have seen the next coming of the Ohio State great receiver. You already know Ohio State is known for producing great receivers. We got our next one in Jeremiah Smith. But Will Howard came out and had a great game. He went 17 of 26, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns. Travion Henderson, the running game was clicking. Travion Henderson went 94 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. He broke off a long run for his first touchdown. Quishon Junkins had 85 yards, 0 touchdowns. But to me, the MVP of the offense for Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith, I just spoke on him. 7 receptions, 187 yards, 2 touchdowns. It got to a point I thought he was going to go for 300 yards. Real shit. I thought he was going to go for 300 yards. They had no answer for him on the offensive side, on the defensive side. I mean, he's catching everything. He's going over top. The one I don't understand is like Oregon. I don't understand how you can lose the best player on the field. They're losing him. That second touchdown he caught, he's literally like wide open. He's wide open. The first touchdown came on a little cross. I forgot because you know the Arizona State game and Texas game was still on, so I didn't get a chance to see the first touchdown, but I got to. They ran it back and I seen it. I can't remember exactly, but he ended up breaking a tackle and taking it the distance for a touchdown. He had a great game. Emeka Ibuka, who I've been a fan of all year, he had 5 receptions, 72 yards with a touchdown. That touchdown throw from Will Howard was great. He ran right down the seam just because they were so scared of, you know what I'm saying, the outside. Emeka Ibuka was able to run right down the seam. Will Howard laid it in the basket. The ball was actually deflected a little bit. Ibuka was able to hold on to it with one hand. But that was a great throw. And like I said, that offense, they just came out on fire. It's like they picked right up off of where they left from against Tennessee. And I said it. I felt like if they could come out, because you got to remember, when they played Oregon earlier in the year, they allowed Dylan Gabriel to be comfortable. This game they came out, no, our offense, we gonna go pedal to the metal, and we not gonna allow them to get comfortable. Oregon, we gonna make them feel uncomfortable. We gonna make them play from behind, and I think that they did that. Caleb Downs, the safety, he was the MVP on the defensive side. He was everywhere. He showed you yesterday why he was highly touted in the transfer portal coming from Alabama. He was at Alabama last year, entered the transfer portal, ended up at Ohio State. He had a hell of a game yesterday. He was everywhere. Every time they tried to throw it his way, he almost had 2 interceptions. He ended up, unfortunately, dropping both of them. But he had a hell of a game. On the Oregon offensive side, Dylan Gabriel, he went 29 of 41, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They had no running game at all. Jordan James went for 14 yards, 0 touchdowns. Noah Winningham, 3 yards. He had a touchdown. Treshawn Holden had 7 receptions, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. His 2 touchdowns, the game was already out of hand by that time. And Terrence Ferguson had 5 receptions, 71 yards and 0 touchdowns. But yeah, the game was out of hand. I mean, it was 34-0 in the second quarter. You know what I'm saying? The game was out of hand. Like I said, they didn't allow Dylan Gabriel to get comfortable. Defenders were all in his face. They were trying to throw screens. They were batting the screens down. Their defense showed up. To me, Ohio State showed up on all 3 levels of the game yesterday. They did the first game. If you remember what I said they allowed Dylan Gabriel to get comfortable. The first time that they played each other, Dylan Gabriel. Hold on real quick. I got it right here in my notes. So the first time they played each other, the Buckeyes allowed Dylan Gabriel to operate with a clean pocket, no sacks, only 2 quarterback hurries. He had 341 passing yards. He had several completions downfield and 2 touchdowns, but they only beat him by 1 point. So I said if they can get pressure on Dylan Gabriel, make him make some difficult throws, stop the running game, I felt like Ohio State had the firepower to beat him, and they did that. They didn't allow him to get comfortable. By the time he looked up, he was already down 2 or 3 scores. So now you find yourself pressing, trying to get yourself back in the game, trying to wheel yourself back in the game, and it didn't work. Shout out to Ohio State. They had a hell of a game, and I'm happy for Ryan Day. I think Ryan Day needed this. He needed this. It's been a lot of chatter around his name. Possibility of him not returning. I didn't think that he would not return, but after losing that Michigan game at the end of the season, when you got a $20 million roster, it was a lot of question marks around Ryan Day's name. Now they have an opportunity to. Honestly, I'm mad that them in Texas gotta play each other in this next round. But now Ohio State is the favorite. I'm going with Ohio State. All the way. I said if Ohio State could stop Oregon in that high-power offense and win that game, I think Ohio State can go all the way and win it. And I believe that. I'm sticking to that because what I seen from Jeremiah Smith yesterday, to me, he's been great all year. But these are the moments right here where stars are made, stars are born. His star was born yesterday. To me, was born Wednesday. That game that he had was amazing. I seriously thought it was a possibility for him to go for 300 yards. They had no answers for him whatsoever. They had no answers for that offense, period. Will Howard was back there just picking him apart, doing what he wanted to do. And, in totality, I think they kind of let up off the gas at the end. Oregon started to get, but it was too late at that point. Like I said, they were already up 34-0 before halftime. And then Oregon scored, they started to score, but the game was over from the beginning. You could just tell. You could feel the momentum. You could see everything, body language, everything. The game was over. So shout out to Ohio State. Y'all gotta start listening. I picked them. I was right so far. Now I'm just waiting for the game later on. But I picked all these games. I said Ohio State. People told me I was tripping. Oregon been number 1 all year. I said, nah, I like Ohio State. I like that offense. And they showed up and showed out yesterday. So that's it for my reaction for the college football playoff. Like I said, we got one more game, and then next week, I give my reaction to what went on in this other game, and what we got to look forward to going into this next round. Moving forward, let me get in my NBA bag a little bit. So moving forward, as y'all know, last week, head coach Mike Brown was relieved of his duties as the Sacramento Kings head coach. It kind of went in the uproar. I've been wanting to speak on this, but I said, I'm gonna wait until my next episode to talk about it. So Mike Brown was released from the team. I believe it was last Friday. He was released from he was fired as the head coach of the Sacramento Kings. They were currently on a 6-game losing streak. They have actually won 2 straight. Where they lost to the Lakers. I think the Lakers game, he got fired before the Lakers game, and so they lost that game, but they've won 2 straight, since that. They currently sit as the 12th seed in the Western Conference. His first season as the coach of the Sacramento Kings, he had a 48-34 record. Second season, 46-36 record. He was 107-88 in 2+ seasons with the team. Brown was the unanimous NBA Coach of the Year in his first season in 2022 and 2023 when he helped Sacramento end the largest playoff drought in NBA history at 16 seasons. So this is how it went early Friday afternoon, not long after Mike Brown completed his final practice as head coach of the Kings with 18-minute news conference. General manager Monte McNair called him assistant general manager Wes Wilcox, who was finishing up a separate phone call, eventually joined the conversation on speakerphone. Brown's 2.5 season tenure was over. General manager Monte McNair called the move on Friday a difficult decision and thanked Brown for his work. Assistant Doug Christie took over as interim head coach. Last year, Sacramento lost in the play-in tournament last year and was off to a 13-18 start this season, leading to the move to fire Brown. about 6 months after he agreed to a contract extension through the 2026-2027 season. The Kings up at that point, the Kings lost the NBA's worst 9 games this season after leading in the fourth quarter. So, and Christie will be the team's 8th coach since owner Vivek Ranadive, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but you know what I'm talking about, took over. And Denver Nuggets head coach Michael Malone says Kings show no class in firing Brown. So I wanted to give my opinion on this firing, and like I said, I believe Mike Brown is a good head coach. You don't win you don't win coach of the year if you're not a good head coach. But I think this is just, to me, a perfect example of players and ownership not wanting to be held accountable. There's a couple times where I seen videos of Mike Brown at practice, and one thing I noticed about the video, a lot of the times the videos that I seen, Mike Brown held guys accountable. I've seen videos of him getting on Malik Monk. I've seen videos of him getting on other guys, and I just think in this scenario, in this situation, I think it was classless by the organization. First and foremost, you don't call a man when he's on his way, you know what I'm saying, preparing for the next game. You call him and fire him like that. I felt as though this man had enough cachet and earned enough respect that, you know what I'm saying, you could have let him know face to face that he was going to be relieved of his duties. I think now you've been hearing rumblings that he wasn't getting along with De'Aaron Fox and he wasn't getting along with DeMar DeRozan, and I'm pretty sure De'Aaron Fox, being the, you know what I'm saying, fringe superstar that he is, all-star caliber player, they came to him about the decision, and ultimately I think that he agreed to it. I heard a situation where Mike Brown wanted DeMar DeRozan to come off the bench. I don't know how true that is, but I think with adding DeMar DeRozan to this squad, you assume that, you know, with DeMar DeRozan, you have Sabonis, who's an all-star, and you have De'Aaron Fox, who's an all-star. To me, fringe superstar. I like De'Aaron Fox a lot. You were thinking that would propel Sacramento to one of the top teams in the West, and it just haven't came to that. It just haven't been that this year. But I think their main problem is defense, and once again, it's just about accountability. And I'm one of those type of guys that I don't like the fact when people try to blame the coaches for everything. Like, to me, a coach shouldn't have to tell you or shouldn't have to make you want to play defense. You're a professional athlete. That's something you should want to do. A coach shouldn't have to tell you, okay, this is how, you know what I'm saying? A coach is there to, you know what I'm saying, yes, to create structure and do what he's supposed to, you know, control the team and what. But it's certain things I feel like you shouldn't have to be coached on. You shouldn't have to be coached on wanting to play defense. You shouldn't have to be coached on effort. You shouldn't have to be coached on, you know, things of that nature, bad shot selection, things like that. And that's all that you've seen from Sacramento all year. They're 8th in offensive rating, but they're 17th in defensive rating, and they're 24th in three-point percentage. In the last 6 games that they lost with Mike Brown as their head coach, these are the scores the opposing teams have put up on them. Versus the Nuggets, they lost. They allowed the Nuggets to have 130 points. Versus the Lakers, they lost. They allowed the Lakers to have 113 points. Another game versus the Lakers, they allowed the Lakers to have 103 points in the loss. Against the Pacers, they lost. They allowed the Pacers to have 122 points. Against the Pistons, they lost. They allowed the Pistons to score 114 points. And against the Lakers, they allowed them to score 132. So my thing is this: you're not playing defense. I don't think there was anything more Mike Brown could have coached for them to play defense. That's something that you want to have to do. You know what I'm saying? And now and people want to say, well, look, now the coach gone, they didn't won 2 games. Yeah, I mean, you could say it like that, but I feel like when you're getting dragged through the mud by the media and things of that nature, that's gonna make you want to come out there and show different. But I don't think the man deserved to lose his job. It's just a fact of that players and ownership don't want to be held accountable. The players don't want to be held accountable. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do, it's the coach's job to let you know you're not doing that. I don't care what your stature on the team is. I don't care if you an all-star, superstar. I don't care what you are. If you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, what you're supposed to be doing, then the coach has that authority to tell you you're not doing what you're supposed to be, that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. There's no way with this roster, Sacramento Kings shouldn't at least be a top 5 seed in the Western Conference. And you went 9, and you know what I'm saying? You went 9. You lost an NBA worst 9 games this season after leading the fourth quarter with that offensive firepower and those players. You're losing leads in the fourth quarter. That's because you're not playing no defense. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. You ain't playing no defense. And the ownership got to take some accountability too. With Doug Christie being your 8th head coach since this ownership group has took over. I don't understand it. Since this ownership has took over, this is your 8th head coach. And I don't know, more than likely, Doug Christie probably wants to. They're probably going to be looking for a coach this offseason. Who's going to want to come there and work there after that? I agree with what Michael Malone said about that, because when a team is winning, you give the credit to Sabonis, you give the credit to Fox, you give the credit to DeRozan. You know what I'm saying? When the team loses, automatically on Mike Brown. You can't do that, and I don't agree with that. DeMar DeRozan is averaging 20 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists this year. De'Aaron Fox averaging 26 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Domantas Sabonis averaging 20 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists. I think that should be good enough. But when you look at DeMar DeRozan's stats, you'll think, well, that's close to around what DeMar DeRozan usually do. But no, DeMar DeRozan has not been having a good season for Sacramento this year. He has not. And I've stumbled across a couple of Sacramento games where I think they're struggling because this is the first time in his career where DeMar DeRozan is a third option. And I think he's struggling with that. He's used to ball dominance, having the ball, being able to dribble it at the top or get it in his spots. And DeMar DeRozan likes to shoot that mid-range. And I think it's kind of hard when you have Fox also trying to get off, Sabonis trying to get his. Don't forget you have Keegan Murray who can go off as well too. And they have other pieces, Malik Monk coming off the bench. I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's a bad idea bringing DeMar DeRozan off the bench with the second unit. But some guys are just so prideful, and they're so used to having this stature throughout, everywhere they've been. They look at coming off the bench as like being as frowned upon. But if you're not mixing in well with the starters and it's causing us to lose games, then, because you can't have De'Aaron Fox trying to get his, but oh man, we got to get DeMar involved because DeMar DeRozan is one of those type of guys. You got to get him involved early. We trying to get him involved, and now he's trying to get to his spot, knock down the mid range. That's taking the ball out of De'Aaron Fox's hands. That's not getting Domantas Sabonis his touches, and I think that's where you're kind of getting the. That's where you're kind of getting the static to where it's not working. But I think in this situation, I think Mike Brown was scapegoated. I think that the players just I think him and the players wasn't getting along, and it's weird because right before he was fired, there was a video that came out with him talking to De'Aaron Fox after, I don't know if it was after practice, before practice, or what, and you could just see the demeanor in De'Aaron Fox's face, to where it was like it was something that wasn't there. And I think he just got scapegoated in the situation. We'll see how it turns out. I don't know. There's been rumors about De'Aaron Fox possibly getting traded. Then I heard something today that's saying that he probably won't get traded at the deadline. It'll probably be more so in the off season. But right now, it's not a good look in Sacramento. Maybe they may have to just blow it up. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're probably going to be looking for a new head coach after this season. But who knows? They won 2 games, so maybe they could try to turn it around and sneak into the back end of the playoffs. But I don't think the roster is constructed very well, and I just think the ownership and the guys up top are not very good, and the players don't want to be held accountable. So it's unfortunate for Mike Brown. Hopefully he gets another head coaching job. I think Mike Brown is a pretty good coach. So we just gotta wait and see how things turn out on that end. Moving on. So yesterday we found out via Nick Sirianni that Saquon Barkley won't get a chance to break Eric Dickerson's single season rushing record. He said that they decided that they're gonna sit Saquon Barkley and rest them and get them rested for the playoffs. And I'm gonna be all the way honest because this topic I wanted to touch on the comments that Eric Dickerson made about Saquon breaking his record. I wish that they would have allowed Saquon to break it. It would have been a hell of a story, especially being as though he's going up against his former team in the New York Giants. It would have been like a great story for him to break that record and against his old team. You know, after what transpired last season, heading into this season, Saquon Barkley has had an amazing season. To me, this probably is one of the best seasons for a running back I've seen ever. You know what I'm saying? And just he looks rejuvenated. He looked like rookie Saquon Barkley. This to me is the greatest season of Saquon Barkley's career, even going back to college, you know. And I would have loved to see him break the record. It's unfortunate, but my issue is with Eric Dickerson. And the reason I got an issue, this is where, you know, I talk about some of these older cats, man, and just, you know, the lack of love and support that they show for the younger guys. And I know he's going to be happy with the fact that they're going to sit Saquon and he's not going to be able to break the record. But I'm going to be honest, bro. To me, with some of these comments you made, you tainted your legacy a little bit. Yeah, you a great player on the field, was a great player on the field. I give you that. But, I mean, I just feel like the comments and stuff that you made about not wanting Saquon to break the record and then trying to use will he get an extra game to do it and all that. I just felt like it was selfish. I felt like it was uncalled for. And I felt like that, you know what I'm saying, you should be happy for the young. All records are meant to be broken. And I get a sense from some of these guys that they feel like if their record is broken by somebody, that people are gonna forget about them, or it's like everything that they did when they were in the league is just going to be washed away. When, bro, that's nowhere near the case. That's nowhere near the case at all, bro. People are still going to remember you. You're still going to go down as one of the greatest running backs of all times. Look at how Barry Sanders just was pushing for Ashton Genty to break his rushing record in college. Look at how, you know what I'm saying, look at how RG3 cheered on Jaden Daniels for breaking his record. Just look at how that's what you're supposed to do, bro. A true person that really loves the game and loves the sport, they embrace guys that, you know what I'm saying, have a possibility of breaking their record or breaking a record that they've been holding for such a long time. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what you're supposed to do. But to me, you came off like that. It was just kind of weird. You know, these are the quotes that he made. When asked about it. He said, I don't think he'll break it, but if he breaks it, he breaks it. Do I want him to break it? Absolutely not. I don't pull no punches on that. But I'm not whining about it. He has 17 games to do it. Hey, football is football. That's the way I look at it. If he's fortunate to get over 2,000 yards and get the record, it's a great record to have. Dickerson set the record for the most rushing yards in a single season in 1984. He had 2,105 yards for the Los Angeles Rams. But this is my question. For you to say that, you threw in the 17-game thing, but nobody said anything about you, because guess what? When O.J. Simpson had the record, he ran for 2,003 yards. He set it in 14 games. Your record was broken in 16 games, so you had 2 extra games to do it. But I didn't hear nobody mention that, though. Nobody said nothing about that. But you want to come and say, well, he has, and poo-poo on Saquon Barkley and say, well, he has 17 games to do it. So what? The NFL change all the time. Rules change around all leagues all the time. So now come on, bro. It's just like, and that's what I say. And then you got a lot of these older cats out here that always want to say, well, the younger generation don't respect the old guys, the older guys, and the guys who came before them. And honestly, for me, I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like the older guys have a problem with the younger guys. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar act like he had a problem with LeBron breaking his record when it happened. You know what I'm saying? He was throwing little remarks out there. It's just weird. Like, it's just weird. And to me, this came off as like very selfish and very self-centered. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, if he was to break the record, we know that he's not going to now. But even if he was to break the record, bro, nobody's going to forget about what you did in the NFL. Nobody. Like, at all. You're still going to be a great running back. I just don't understand that. And I like what RG3 said. RG3 quoted it and said Well, after Jaden Daniels broke one of RG3's record, RG3 came on a post and said, I wanted Jaden Daniels to break my rookie rushing record because I'm not rooting against the next generation. He earned it. He is the future. Some of these old heads need to stop drinking all that haterade and lift up these young guys instead of turning them down. And I agree with that 100%. You should want guys to, you know what I'm saying, come in and do better than what you did. That's the goal of everything in life. The older guys are supposed to pull the younger people up so they can be better than what you was, and it's supposed to go vice versa. And that's how that's how you keep climbing the chain. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything don't gotta be competition all the time. It's cool to acknowledge that, hey man, somebody's about to accomplish something great. Let me go ahead and piggyback, and you know what I'm saying, get in this corner and encourage. You should have been encouraging Saquon. You should have been encouraging, Nick Sirianni, let him go out there in this last week and break that record. You should have been encouraging. Instead, you probably sitting back happy. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, he ain't going. You know what I'm saying? Like that's selfish to me, man. And I just wanted to speak on that. And I've heard Eric Dickerson speak about the record before, but you know, some people, they just are who they are. They set in their ways. But I feel like, honestly, with those comments and the way you went about this whole thing, you lost a little bit of cool points. You definitely lost a couple cool points with me. And that's just me speaking real, being honest, because I feel like you should have been encouraging and wanting him to break your record, not the other way around. So I just wanted to speak on that topic for a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. This is episode 28. Like I said, y'all already know the motto. No gimmicks, only the real. Smash that subscribe button. Like and share the content. Follow me on all social media platforms. And like I said at the beginning of this show, man, I wish everybody a happy new year. I wish everybody out there, man, nothing but success and blessings in this new year. And let's go ahead and make it happen. I'll see y'all next time.